And let's see, pledge allegiance. Who does it? You did it last. Did Paul do it last?
You did last year.
You'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Yeah, but wait, I'm waiting on Facebook. Hold on. Yes, I'll be glad to.
Careful what you have.
Okay, I'm done.
I'll call the special council meeting to order and recognize Councilwoman Condon to lead us in the pledge of allegiance and the information.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, give us the patience and wisdom to conduct the town's business in a way that is pleasing to you. Take care of us tonight during the rainy winter season, and help to guide us and give us your blessings as we deserve. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Next item is the presentation by citizens. This would be where anyone who wants to discuss anything with the town council in regards to anything that's on the agenda tonight may do so at this time. All we ask is you come to the podium and just leave us, give us your name and address for the record.
I'm Ken Lovelace, Lovelace Commercial Contracting, 1821 State Street, KC 29033. We were asked by Morgan Grimble to bid the project that's being discussed tonight. We spent approximately 2 to 3 weeks working on our bid. We understand that the apparent low bidder was, his bid has been rejected. We are the next responsible and responsive bidder in line. We have a track record of having built parks and so forth. We built the Riverbank Zoo, Botanical Garden. We have done the Riverwalk across the Gervais Street Bridge. We built that entire project. We did the project for Irmo Chapin Recreation Commission in the wetlands. Just finished that a few years back. We have a track record of doing these type work, and we believe that we should be considered as the next responsive bidder. Now, I received an email that said that I'd had correspondence with Mr. Brown, whom I don't know. I'd never met him, and I have not said anything of that kind about the town of Irmo. Lovelace Commercial Contracting is a good builder. We were organized in 1986, and we would do you a very good job as your contractor. We don't understand why our bid amount is going to be awarded to some other company down here. It says approval of a contract amount, and that's our bid amount. Now, the way I interpret and the way we've interpreted, Jason Durstein's here with our company, we have been bidders for now on to ever. We have, you advertised in the state procurement, under the state procurement law, and as such, it's our understanding that the state procurement law should be the law under which you have to award the bid. And as the next responsible and responsive bidder, we ask that you award it to us. Now, the figure down here that you have, $970,050, is our bid. To take our bid and to allow that to reduce and award it to somebody else would be unfair. It would be more like an auction rather than a bid. Now, we put our time in, we spent our money doing that, and we believe that it would only be right for us to be considered. And Jason can read you a passage from the state procurement code, and it specifically says that you can't do what you're attempting to do.
Y'all mind if I pass this out? That way you guys get to read it as well. This is what you see on the first page, where y'all announce it on Skibo.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I've already passed a copy out.
Oh, that's-
Everybody got the same
Yeah,
thing?
We got that.
But what I want you to look at is actually on the third page there. That's the state procurement code. And what I have highlighted says, after bid, changes in bid prices or other provisions of bids prejudicial to the interest of the state or fair competition must not be permitted. After opening bid, bids must not be corrected or withdrawn except in accordance with the provision of this code and regulations promulgated pursuant to it.
Okay, so what I've seen through what you're trying to do is to use our bid, and I understand that you advertised and you said, you put a disclaimer in there that you didn't have to use any and all bids and so forth, but you would be allowed to award the job to another bidder at his price, but not at my price. And that's not fair, and I don't understand why you would do that, why you would pay more money.
That was going to be changed. I mean, that was a typo in the agenda.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why you would pay more money to get something when and that would be highly unfair. I'm going to close by saying that, I don't know if any of you are Rotarians or ever been to the Rotary, but when you don't do things that are fair to all parties, then you leave a bad taste. You leave a bad taste, and a bad taste with you too, because we have done nothing but point out to you what we believe is the truth and is the law. And if we don't stand up for ourselves, nobody else is going to do it. And we're fair-minded, and I pledge to you that we would do a great job for you, and we would try as hard as we could to do whatever you needed done. We're good contractors, and we ask you not to do this because we think that that's unfair to us. And nobody likes being used. I mean, if you were going to do this, you should have advertised and said, we have 2 people that we intend to award to, and out of these, and all the rest of you guys can just bid and set the price. But that's not right. That is not the right thing to do. And I'm asking you not to do that. We can do the job in the time frame that you guys say that you need it by August the 15th. And if you have the permits, which I'm told that you do, and that everything would be ready to go, we ask you to allow us, who was legitimate low bidder, to do the job. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Next item on the agenda is new business, and I'm just going to take care of something. That thing keeps popping up again. I don't know why. Looks like I got to update something. I can't get the pages off there. What we have on here is approval of contract with Clearwater Company in the amount of $970,050 to construct the town park. We can, whatever anybody wants to do, take a motion for that. We can take a motion for a different price. We can also take a motion for the other company. So which one of the 3 options? Or we can just have a motion to award the contract and then discuss all the people, or the 2 companies, and then kind of go from there into what we need to do. Everybody understands that?
There was a typo on here.
Yes, there was. Well, first thing I need to do is defend myself, and I have the email right here that was sent out, and no place in there did I say that Mr. Lovelace talked to me. I said that Mr. Lovelace said he wouldn't work for the town. And that came from our consultant, so if you're calling him a liar, you guys deal with that later. The other thing is on the agenda, the price should have read $978,000, which was Mr. Elsey and Clearwater's price for that project. We have 2 bids. We have the one from Lovelace for $970,050. We have Elsey from Clearwater at $978,000. We had a lot of issues going on for the last few weeks, and it dealt with in-town business and whether or not he got the 2% preference. And Mr. Elsey has a number of businesses in town. That was my mistake. I assumed he was an in-town businessman. and he is. However, Clearwater Company is not in town, so he doesn't get the 2% preference. So the difference is $9,750.
So who's the lowest bidder?
Lovelace by $9,750.
Well, let's do a motion first to get it on there so we can discuss, and then we can discuss all those parameters.
Okay, I'll
Is
make
there a
mo-
motion
I'll
for-
make a motion for the approval of the contract to Clearwater in the amount of $978,050. That gets it on. If I get a second, then that'll get it on for discussion.
Second.
Okay.
And I'll recognize Councilman Hoops first, and then...
Let me ask something first. Okay, Mr. Lovelace's bid was $970,000. Okay, all right, I'm straight.
And if I may, before y'all get started, just for the public's kind of knowing what's going on, we did have an award. We did award the contract to another company that was in the amount of $999,000 or something to that effect.
The first one,
The first company.
$990,000. Yeah.
Just so the public knows, and if anybody's wondering why we're rebidding it. And that contract, or the bid, the original bid, there was a bid for the whole park less the picnic shelter, and then one for the picnic shelter, and they could be combined, but they were kind of two separate things. After looking at it, I think Bob determined that it was possible to get the picnic shelter done for less than what was on that bid. So we took that picnic shelter off the bid and just made it just for the park without the picnic shelter. At that time, the other company, Ladd, I think it was,
Ladd.
decided that they could not build a park for that $900 and some thousand. So they decided not to sign the contract. That's when we had to come back and award it to someone else. It was,
Was there a penalty for that? Is there a...
yeah, but I just want to kind of go over that so let people know how we got here. Because Clearwater was thought to be in town, and we have a policy in town or ordinance that says you can have a 2% preference, the call was made to Clearwater to see if they would accept the contract with the 2% difference or whatever, and they agreed. But after that happened, then we discovered they weren't in town. And we'd already decided, let's go ahead and have a special meeting and decide what to do and everything else. And I think, yeah, in order to be correct, if we're not, since he's not in town, we can't give the 2% preference. That makes his bid 978, and Lovelace is 970. And then we can kind of go from there. And I'll recognize Councilman Hoops since he made the motion.
Well, I made the motion, and, you know, I know that we're probably dealing with the technicality in one sense with the in-town business. I know that Clearwater has an office on Forest Court. Their sign is up there, it's been up there for years. I think it's been up there since they built the last park. And as well as other buildings which he owns in town and operates. So, you know, I honestly thought that that was sufficient for being in town myself.
Bob, did you?
Sure. When we worked with Mike Elsey back years ago in the Irmo Town Park, I understand that everything went real smooth, and I know he'll do a great job for us with this new park. That's no offense to the other construction company, contractor, but just not aware of your parks. And of course, you haven't built anything in Irmo, so that's why I think we ought to take Elsey because of this beautiful park we have across the street.
Anyone else?
You first, ladies first.
Okay. Well, I know Mr. Elsey from Chamber of Commerce and other areas, and I'm sure he would do a good job. I don't want Mr. Lovelace to think that we're awarding this out of anything that's dubious or against the law, that really bothers me, that anybody would think that. If we've done something wrong, I'm sorry, because we certainly didn't mean to. We've made some mistakes, but I think we've tried to correct them. But I don't want anyone to think badly of us, because we really aren't smart enough to do anything very wrong. I don't think, or too devious. But I would certainly appreciate you being here and telling us about it. Go ahead.
The LAD Construction was awarded this contract, and they said they could do it in the time frame that we said we needed to have it done. And for whatever reason, they decided that the 907 price, or the $999,000 price that they had got it for, was not enough to do it. So now they backed out. So that means they had to forfeit a bond of about, what, $45,000? Was that right?
$45,350.
Made out to the town of Irmo.
Correct.
And that's because, why? Because they didn't follow through on the contract?
They did not honor their bid.
They did not honor the bid.
Don't we
Which
have to have
means-
some kind of damage to get that money?
They submitted a bid, and they led us to believe that they could do the project for the $907,000. It went all the way through a council meeting and approval, and they waited until they got a contract in front of them and decided not to sign it.
Okay.
They can't fight it, and they know it. I mean, that's our protection.
That's fine. So the correct procedure was, if you couldn't do it, you shouldn't have made the bid at that amount, and you shouldn't have went forward to let council award this to you.
Correct.
Okay? So we followed Skibo's law by getting that $45,000 check. Right? We followed what we had put out for, said that this is your penalty for not following through for the contract. At the same time, we asked LAD, and we asked Loveless, and we asked Clearwater to make bids on this contract to see who can give us the best price to build this park. And it seems ever since these bids were open, that there's nothing been happening, but people have been trying to match prices, and one person saw they left $100,000 on the table, so they said, well, we can add $100,000 to it, and then when he got called on that, and they backed up and said, nope, we can't do that, so we're going to go for the 907 price. They get awarded the contract and realized they couldn't do it for that price. And then we go to the next responsive bidder, which we thought was Clearwater, and we found out that they don't have a business license in town, so they weren't an in-town business, and I don't have a dog in that fight. I mean, if they are, they are. If they're not, they're not. But they're not the lowest next responsive bidder. The lowest next responsive bidder is clearly Loveless Construction by about $9,000. Now, and I'm going to ask Clearwater the same question. Can they do this project by August 15th? Can it be done? And I'll ask them that question in a minute. But the bottom line is, we expected LAD to follow through with their commitment, and because they didn't, they got a penalty for it. Loveless expects town of Irmo to follow through on their commitment to award them the contract because they were the next lowest bidder. And if we don't do that, then now we might be in the same situation that LAD was in. I'm not trying to put words in Loveless's mouth or heads or whatever, but they might have grounds to say, well, you're not following through with your own procurement policy.
We are. We're not under the state procurement code. That's why we have
You keep saying that.
We have our own code,
You
right?
keep saying that, but you got a check for $45,000 from LAD.
That's in our procurement code.
For not following through with the commitment that they had made for this project.
We have that in our code.
So would they have the same legitimate right saying that they were the lowest responsive bidder, and we're not following through by awarding them a contract so they can in turn get a check for $45,000 from us for not giving them the contract?
Well, you're correct. I mean, their appeal process is sitting right here on this bench.
Right. So I'm saying, it's the same, it works. You can't have it one way. It can't be unilateral penalty, you know what I'm saying? It has to go both ways. I don't have a dog in the fight. I get no kickback from if Clearwater gets the contract, or if LAD gets the contract, or if Loveless. I don't have a dog in the fight. I do have a dog in the fight if the project is not done by August 15th. And that was clearly made to Loveless. I'm making it very clear to Clearwater that we're expecting the project to be completed by August 15th, no matter what. Now, if they can't do it by August 15th, speak up now or forever hold your peace. I don't want to hear about the weather. I don't want to hear about anything. I want to know that if they get this contract, if they're awarded a contract, they can get it done. And to be honest with you, if you want to look at apples and apples, Bob, you're saying that you made a typo of 970 on this agenda. I mean, I got an email right here that says that you wanted to match the price of Loveless Construction by 970.
That was when we thought it was a 2% preference, and it's not a 2%.
Okay, so
They get no
it wasn't
preference at all.
a typo. That's what you had planned on doing, and they agreed to do it for 970, which means that after the bids were open, you're adjusting prices now, which is
If they had a 2% preference, I've already told you 3 times.
Even if they didn't have a 2% preference.
They have nothing now. They have no preference.
Right, so they have to give it to them at so you
got
give it to them for $9,000 more than this gentleman's willing to do it for the same price. And this doesn't include the picnic shelter, does it? This is
Does
just
not.
okay.
Neither one of them do.
Yeah, neither one of them do. Okay. So my
Or
point.
the playground, right?
Or the playground, right.
Right.
The picnic shelter or the playground is not included in this. And that's fine. I mean, just as long as we can get this thing done, that's the bottom line for me. But I'm saying that, you keep saying that we don't have to abide by the responsive bidder, and you probably don't because of what you put in there. If that's our...
Well, that's the state procurement too. If you read the SCIBO up on the top, it says you can throw out any or all bids. That's your call.
But if you do that, then why bid it out? Why don't you just say, we want to know what the figures you're going to come up with, and we're going to pick somebody, our old buddy over here to do this project.
No, we picked Ladd to start with. He was the lowest bidder.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
Why wasn't he?
He was the lowest bidder in the sense that when they opened the bids, it was 907, and that's correct. He was the lowest bidder at that point.
Right.
But they said they had made a technical numerical error, and he added $100,000 to their bid, and that's how it came to be $999,000. Okay, so technically that wasn't the lowest bid if you want to use what we have the numbers we have today.
Who is lower than 990?
970 is lower than 990, isn't it?
With the picnic shelter in there?
No, we're not the picnic shelter, I'm saying.
Well, let me say a couple things too. We did award it to the lowest bidder, which was Ladd, with the 999 and with the 907, if you do all the numbers. That's not a question. They couldn't do it, and that's really not important anymore either. As far as what's in the bid determines what date. Whether somebody wants to do it by August 15th, doesn't really matter. If the bid says they got, I won't say 90 days or whatever's in there.
180 days.
180 days, that's what they bid on, that's what they got. I think most of them probably can do it, and I think most of them, even that 180 days was what? Well, originally it was 9/1, I think.
There's a little fluff in there, but if it keeps raining, you're starting to use up your days quick.
Yeah. But we would stick with that 180 days from the day of the award. And they can tell us they can do it by 8/15, but they still, by our bid process, have got until 180 days at whatever day we award it.
Well, I'm going to ask that question. Can they do it by August 15th?
Well, they can answer, but it doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
Because they got 180 days.
It doesn't matter if I'm going to vote for it, it does matter.
Well,
It does.
but it doesn't matter to council, and doesn't matter
It matters to me.
Well,
I'm
okay.
on council,
That's
and it
fine.
does matter. So
The other ones can
it doesn't matter. It does matter.
stick to whatever.
Okay.
But go back to the thing that you were talking about, the 7950 is actually 7950 difference, 7,950 between this bid and that. When the other company decided they couldn't do it, Clearwater was given a in-town preference of 2% because they were perceived to be in town. Once it was discovered they're not in town.
That doesn't matter anymore. We already told that they're not, they don't qualify.
I'm going to speak.
So why are you even mentioning that?
Because I'm not through talking.
It's
Please,
not even
I let you
qualified,
speak,
man.
and I didn't respond to you, I'm going to speak. Once it was determined they weren't in town, they were not given the 2% preference, which means their bid is 978, the other bid is 970. Nowhere in our ordinance it does it tell we have to give it to the lowest bidder. We don't. We don't have to. Yes, you should have a good reason for not giving it to the lowest bidder, but you don't have to. We can give it to the highest bidder if we wanted to. Probably wouldn't be a wise thing to do, but at the same time, these two differences in these two bids are $8,000. If it's determined that council wants to give it to one over the other, then council has that majority right to do so. It's in our ordinance we can do so, and even in the bid thing, it says that they can eliminate anyone they want to. So the council can do what they want to. As far as the $47,000 or $45,000, that's a different subject too. We haven't cashed a check yet. We can send it back to the guy if we want to. And I think we're going to discuss that at some point before we leave.
We should have an executive.
So we can let Bob know what to do with that. But we can give it back to him and then, you know, or give a portion back, or give it, I don't know, we can just decide whatever. But until we cash that check, no, we haven't taken. He's giving it to us according to what our ordinance says, but if we send it back to him, there's no foul there either. We can decide that, council can decide that. That's a council choice.
Why would you do that?
Doesn't matter why.
Why would you
I'm
do
just
that?
saying we can't.
Why would you do that?
No.
I'm not going to discuss it here, why, I'm just saying because we're here for
Why
something
not?
else.
If
We
we're in a
can't.
public forum, why would you do that?
Because we're here to
They
discuss.
violated they violated their bid.
You can put that on the agenda next month.
It's $45,000.
Right now, we're just going to discuss this, and that's all we're here to discuss.
Should we go into executive session before we vote?
No.
If you want to, you can ask.
No, this is a public forum. These people need
I
to know
agree.
how we come to this decision. That's why they're here.
I understand.
Every council member has a right to ask, so if you want to ask for one,
I do.
Well, you do. Ask me.
I want to ask for it before we vote.
and for,
An executive session on a contractual matter.
okay. And there's been a motion for an executive session and for a contractual matter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Let's go into executive session real quick, and I guess you're opposed to the executive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll
We'll be right out,
Good folks.
and there'll be no action taken, just discussion. We'll come back out here and finish up.
Before y'all go, can I say something?
Jason Durstein with Loveless Contracting, same address as Ken. I mean, we're all local people here. I mean, I'm born and raised from Irmo, went to Irmo High School. I'm not saying anything disparaging to the other contractor, but we have done jobs in Irmo. We built the San Jose's just down the road from here. We paid our business license last year. We've done several projects with Morgan, and I mean, Morgan called me personally and asked me to bid this. So if he didn't think we were a good contractor, I don't think he would have called us. And all we're looking for is a fair shot. Bottom line, it's just a fair shot at what we worked hard to do. I mean, Ken has been in business since '86. You don't be in business by not doing a good job. So that's all I got.
Thank you. You ready? Got the word I was thinking of. We're out of executive session and call the order meeting back to order. No votes were taken, no decisions made. So we're back here to new business, approval of the contract. Is there any more discussion? All in favor of awarding the contract with Clearwater Company in the amount of $978,000 to construct the town park, will do so with show of hand. And all opposed? And just for the record, I'm opposing not because I'm opposed to giving it to Clearwater, but because I'm voting against spending the money altogether anyhow, which I did on the other one, so I'm going to be consistent and vote against spending money there. But
I'm opposed to giving somebody an $8,000 raise when we have a contractor who's willing to do it for $8,000 less.
And next thing on the agenda is presentation by citizens. Is there anyone here who would like to address Irmo Town Council on anything, regardless if it's on the agenda or not on the agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
We need to, March 5th, you want to cancel the next council
Oh,
meeting? Not
yeah.
on the agenda, but we need to have an amendment to the agenda and talk, and decide if you want. There's nothing right now for the agenda.
Well, I think as far as what you told me, everybody was kind of okay with canceling it. And just for the
I
public...
will be out of town.
Oh, okay. And just for the public record, next Tuesday, which would be our normal regular meeting, the first Tuesday of the month, because we actually have nothing pressing on the agenda, we're canceling next meeting. So just for the public to know that. And for staff, you can go out party and eat and drink and do whatever. Have a fun night.
And you might add that, as always in the past, if something
Yeah,
were
if
to come
something-
up, we could,
Something comes up that's a big emergency, then we will still meet. All in favor of, was there a second for adjournment?
I made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
I'll call the regular meeting of Irmo County Council to order and recognize Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Mary Walker to lead us in the pledge of allegiance and the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, bless this council, the things we're about to work on tonight, and no solutions to make your eyes and pray for all of our servicemen who are in harm's way, and all those come home safely. Amen.
Next item on the agenda is the reading of minutes for February 19, 2013. Is there a motion for approval as written? And we have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, on that, meeting, item B, we talked about establishing a fresh market in town. The last thing we were supposed to do was place it on the council meeting, this meeting, for discussion and action. And somehow it didn't get on the agenda. I know we can't amend the agenda, but is it possible to talk about that and receive communication?
Well,
Since it was on the minutes, it wasn't written out for our agenda.
I think the planning commission met just last night, 18th.
This is item B on the minutes. We were supposed to have the discussion or action item on the agenda this meeting for the fresh market idea.
Right, and
It didn't get on there.
well, we didn't put it on there because it's in our ordinance that it's allowed, so we didn't see what the issue was. It is in our ordinance that you can't put brown lines.
Okay, so, I mean, I wanted to discuss it a little more. I mean, is that, you want to do it on receipt of communication, or you want to add another item?
No, I mean, I think we just have to wait till the next meeting.
Well, we did, we said we want to do it on 19th, and I got people here to discuss it. So, I mean, I know it's okay to do it, they want to just get council's blessing, basically. Is what they're
Well,
She can discuss it, receive communication, I know she's here.
doing. Okay.
um,
We'll do that after. I mean, if you don't want to add it, if you don't want to add it as an
well,
item.
receipt of communication is not a time of discussion, it's a time of letting others know about something that we don't know about.
Okay, so we wanted to talk about this at this meeting, and what I'm saying, for whatever reason, it didn't get added to the agenda. So
Right.
the way to fix it is to talk about it under receipt of communications or add it to the agenda item.
Well, you have to
Can't
make an
add it,
amendment,
no.
you can't do that.
Right, so
Yeah.
receipt of communication.
Well, actually, receipt of communication is again, a time for us to communicate with one another, something that we don't know that others may know about.
Okay,
It's not a
so
discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to communicate,
Well, first of all, we're at reading of the minutes, and we're here to discuss whether the minutes need to be approved as written or changed. And I think there's been a second. Is there any discussion about the minutes? All in favor? Well, let's do this other one, and we'll kind of figure out. Is there a motion for reading of for the minutes to be approved as written for the February 26, 2013 meeting. And is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor as approved? Do so with show of hands. Is there anything in the administrative briefing that's in regard to this? And first of all, just go and say, next item is administrative briefing. Mr. Brandon, do you have anything to add to it? Would you like to add something to it now?
Well, do we have consensus that we would like to hear more information about how this ground-box produce system works?
I would.
Yeah, I think we just need to make sure we don't do a whole lot of discussion. We can hear. I think it needs to be on the agenda, so if we need to, because I could be on the agenda wrong too.
If we're not discussing, I mean, if she just wants to be able to tell what she's going to do, that we all will do it tonight.
Now, you're saying it is okay in the new ordinance to allow produce? I thought it said we need.
It's a permit. She's allowed to come in the town for 45 days.
Okay.
So you want to discuss it, or you want to let us talk?
Yeah, we'll do during receipt of communication. And I think what we can do is just, anyway, let's do the administrative briefing. Is there any questions, Mr. Brown?
Yeah. Mr. Brown, are we knocking down trees here?
We will be in the morning. Bulldozer's already over there.
They're waiting to move this off.
I had a question on this Lexington County penny sales tax. If I just, there's a sentence in here, I wasn't sure. No, I'm sorry, it's the advanced disposal. The last sentence, the next to last sentence. It says that they pick up 2 days, 2 different days for some people. Because like in my section, they pick up everything Monday. They pick up the weed, they pick up the recyclable, they pick up the household trash.
Yeah.
But in other areas, they don't always pick up on the same day?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct. But I mean, they're picked up, we have a 5-day schedule right now.
Right.
And what I had here is they want to propose to come by like every Wednesday. That was their day that they picked, but we'll learn more about that later. And do everything on Wednesday in the whole town room. And not do it by subdivision, so they would do something like that.
But you're saying in some areas, they go into, say, weed forest day, they go pick up the trash one day and the weed, the recyclable next or something else.
Garbage and trash is all on the same day wherever you live, but sometimes recycling is not the same day. It has to do with the truck being here, we only have one truck that we recycle. So they'll get back to us on that, but I mean, if they did everything in the whole town in one day, it'd be much more convenient for everybody.
Then, yeah, I would agree. And I would hope that they would make a nice, another one of those nice magnets that you can put up that has the box around the thing. That they're gonna pick up the recycling, that's the way I keep it straight. Okay?
Yeah, I have to look around and see how many green pickers.
Yeah, it's every 2 weeks.
I have one thing, Bob, because I know you've worked on the census several times. Is there any help, is anything we can do to help you? We're always underpopulated, it's never our real population. Is there anybody we can contact that?
We appealed it back in 2010.
I know, but it never does any good.
They rejected our appeal. The fact that we built 90 new homes and our population went down like 50 people. Made no sense. And they said, well, we have too many kids that moved out. And we have an older population coming in here. 500 kids are gone. Well, I don't believe that, but that's what they're using as their justification.
But 500 mothers showed up to live with I don't believe it. I don't think our population's decreased.
Well, the only thing we could do is, I think, Lexington a couple of years ago paid for their own, what do you call it, census, so that they could use that instead of waiting 3 or 4 or 5 more years until they want to have papers on, and the state budget control will use that to help whatever they fresh market. And since you're aware of that now, then you could bring it to our attention that we no longer need an ordinance, but you have somebody here to explain.
Yeah, Councilman Hoots had a question about some of the things, some of the operations of the fresh market, and I wasn't aware of the actual detail of it, but I do have somebody here who would talk to in detail about the operation of it, such as...
That would answer my question.
Right, such as, the number of people who would be responsible for, food and stuff that's being sold there, and the liability, all that kind of thing. So I'd like to introduce, if Heather would come up to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Heather Hardy.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Tell me your
Hardy.
name.
Hardy. Yes. Thank you for having me. This is an idea that we had several months ago, and I travel to Columbia, to the Soda City, almost every Saturday to buy local eggs, bread, milk, vegetables, soaps. They have all kinds of great things that are made by local artisans, farmers, craftsmen, and I live in Irmo, so it's a truck for me to head to Columbia, and I thought this would be a great venue. Irmo would be a great venue to have something here just like that. And it's like an all locals market where people can come on 2 Saturdays a month, on the first and third Saturday, and vendors can set up their wares, and it has to be handmade, homemade, or locally grown, and sell their wares to the community. And we'll also offer a hot breakfast, a hot lunch, and some entertainment. We've got a little word of mouth already, and we've got someone that's interested in maybe doing yoga in the park for kids to get some blood flowing and exercise in the kids. Also a gym would come out and do some exercise for the kids as well. And we're hoping maybe 25 or 30 artisans, farmers and vendors would come out, pay a nominal fee. We would actually run it. I'm a co-owner of Brown Box Veggies, and Brown Box Veggies would actually run it purchase a permit from the city, and be responsible for all the vendors under a committee. We would get a committee together and oversee the entire process, 2 days a week.
2 days a month?
I'm sorry, yes, 2 days a month, the first and third Saturday of every month. I've checked with our insurance company. Through Brown Box Veggies, we have the liability insurance covered, product liability insurance is covered. I've done some homework with, there are certain vendors that would require their own product liability insurance. And with us, most of it is eggs, meats, things of that nature that would spoil. They would have to have their own insurance, and with the application, we would collect that as well. But someone that is crafting, bowls out of clay or having their own produce farm, they are not required to have that type of insurance. So the ball's kind of rolling. We've got a lot of interest. We actually have verbal commitments from about 18 different vendors all over Lexington, Richland County, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a great thing for families to come down in Irmo from 9 to 12, hopefully shop while they're down in Irmo, and enjoy the park. We'd like to do it, if possible, on Carlisle Street. It's a perfect graded street. Close that street down, and then people can actually, after breakfast or lunch, enjoy the park. But there's, the park's so beautiful, and it's kind of underused at sometimes. So twice a month, it would be used.
Who would be responsible for cleanup of the park after?
Well, I think we would be responsible for the vendors, and of course, in the contract with the vendors, they would have to clean up their area, their space. We're hoping that the city would put out trash cans for us, and also authorize the streets to be blocked. But we'll make sure that it's as clean as it was, if not more than we left it, we found it.
Of course, if we have a wedding, this is like early in the morning on Saturday, right?
From 9 to 12.
9 to 12. And does anybody know what time the weddings are? Are they like 12 o'clock? Are they all the time? 9 in the morning? 10? Really?
And this is seasonal. I mean, fruits and vegetables here in South Carolina are seasonal. And so we're thinking April to October, the end of October, end of April to end of October. And definitely it will work around weddings and such. If we're not able to hold the market on the third Saturday of May because there's the wedding, then we're not able to hold the market the third Saturday.
Well, you might not be able to do it on Carlisle Street, but that's why I was trying to figure out if we could do it out here in this parking lot.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's not so put in stone, you can't move it from Carlisle that weekend to right here because there's a wedding going on.
Right.
That morning or something like that. I mean, it's not it's not an everyday occurrence, not every weekend occurrence. It may happen once over the 4 or 5 months, but if it does happen, is it possible to move it up here, and is council okay with that? You know, moving it up to the park lot here.
Yeah, that was an issue that I had, because we sat right out here tonight and looked at the amount of money that comes in from the park. And who told us something in the park is about every weekend. So that raised an issue there. Another issue that I had is in prepared foods.
Yes.
Who's going to be responsible for ensuring that the vendors have the proper inspections from DEA?
Well, I have a guideline that I've pulled from the Department of Agriculture, and they have to follow the guidelines that are in the. There's a packet. I don't believe I brought it with me today, but there's a packet that the Department of Agriculture put out just for these all local markets. And everybody has to follow those types of guidelines. And in our contract, those guidelines have to be met, whether it's, we have to have proof of your license for the state, insurance, all that stuff. They have to be, we're not gonna let Grandma Sally, who bakes pies in, her outdoor kitchen, to come and sell pies. I mean, we're really...
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about, because with the Orchestra Festival, we have to adhere to those strict guidelines by DHEC, and they send an inspector out
absolutely.
to inspect every location every time we have it. So I can see an issue with them having to come out every other, or the first and third Saturday to inspect those folks that are preparing food. The next issue is liability insurance. With the Orchestra, we have food vendors, we do require that insurance certificate.
Absolutely.
And that the town of Irmo also be listed as a lost payee on there, and we have specific amounts. If my memory is correct, it's $500,000.
I'll definitely check into that. I didn't see
It's
that when
not
I
a big
looked in the
problem,
guidelines.
But they have to go to their insurance company and get that certificate.
I understand that. And I believe a lot of the vendors that will come on a monthly basis, they're going to be the same vendors. Nikki Haley, Governor Haley, put in the cottage law last year, which is great for Grandma Sally that wants to make the pie, but she has to adhere to the cottage law requirements. And vendors telling us that, yes, I have the right certification, I've gone through all the requirements, I have the insurance, we're going to require proof, and it has to be attached to the application. And if it's something that, whether we're a lost payee, Brown Box Veggies is a lost payee on their insurance liability, or City of Columbia, depending on the permit issue, whose name the permit is in, that's something surely we can work out, because like you said, it is quite easy to put someone on as a lost payee on their insurance policy. But I work for an attorney. My real job is I work for an attorney, so I really know how to make sure all T's are crossed and I's are dotted, especially when it comes to liability. for us and for the city and for the folks too.
Let me understand, so you all would run the operation?
That's correct. There's a committee. We'd like to put together a committee of 4 people, actually have a manager. That brown box veggie would compensate. She would be out here from the time that's set up at 7:30 in the morning until folks leave at 12:30, 1 o'clock. She's here for the entire time overseeing the entire project. It's not something that the city has to have someone come out and babysit or caretake to. We actually have someone in mind and would like to put a manager in place to do that.
So any Irmo farmer would have to become a vendor?
That's correct.
Pay to be a vendor?
And, you know, nominal fee of $25, and really that would pay for the permit fee as well as having a manager here. Yes.
Okay, no, I didn't know that. When we first talked about it, I just thought it was a group of farmers that were going to show up. Or
No, we actually have interest in a lot of artisans as well. People that make soap and pottery, hand-woven rugs, some really interesting things that you wouldn't think come from Lexington and Richland County. And then we have eggs and milk and beef, those kinds of things too. What we'd like to do is have an atmosphere where someone can come on Saturday morning and pick up a great weekend, everything they need, some staple items that they could use for the following week, and and they're buying it local. Local sustainability is important in brown box veggies. What we do. Most of everything that we pack in our boxes with brown box veggies comes from a local farmer. We really like to support local farmers, South Carolina farmers, and just kind of extending that through this local market. It will be a pickup location for us. We have a location here on Columbiana Avenue. We've outgrown it. So it will also be a pickup location for our customers. We have a customer base in Irmo of between 60 and 70 families. So, you know, to be honest with you, 60 or 70 families will be out here on the first and third Saturday of every month picking up their boxes and hopefully shopping for eggs, bread, coffee mugs, having breakfast and lunch here as well.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I guess what we need to do is, I guess since it's not a popular ordinance, they could go ahead and start planning to do this. I mean, you know, they seem to want to get started in the next, April. April's right around the corner. There's no descending council person up here. You have any problem with them go ahead and go forth with that? I don't see you have a problem with going forth with trying out.
It's twice a month. I don't know.
Well, if we're gonna vote, it needs to be on the agenda, you know, I mean, but if they can give a permit for whatever you're talking about without it, then there's nothing to vote.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're not gonna say no, we can't do it. I mean, is anybody saying no, they don't want to do it?
I want to make sure that we have it cleared with DHEC, that's permissible, because I don't want problems and for us to get a black eye with DHEC when we're trying to get the orchestra started.
Right.
Up and have them say, well, we've had all kind of problems there. And that's an inherent thing when people start pairing food. And the next thing is that, Bob, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate liability coverage that holds the town harmless. And that's easily done through a certificate. You've been a vendor at the other trade, you know you have to provide that to the town.
Wouldn't you, and again, I'm interjecting here, I don't know a whole lot of this is, I don't know a whole lot about what they're actually proposing other than what I heard tonight. It seemed like nice people. Would this function, would it comply with our zoning ordinance? I don't think so. So it would take, in order to authorize it, I would think you would need to have a modification of your zoning ordinance to allow such as this side of Lake Meridian Park?
Yes, right in front of the park.
In front of the park and the church?
Right.
You know, that is a state highway, I think.
No, that portion of Carlisle, they gave to us.
That is a county road or a
County road.
town road?
County road.
Okay.
That and Lexington down the other side of the county roads.
Then you would have to work under some form of a continuing resolution for a regular closing of that street during certain hours on certain days, unless you want to have it put on the agenda every time for a particular closing. I think you could do a continuing resolution to do that. But I do think that you need to make positive that if you want to authorize this function, which sounds like a nice thing, that you would be able to have an adequate zoning change to make it work. And you're going to need to make positive, I would assume, that the people who are working there have an appropriate business license. That every vendor would have to have a business license, so they understand that. You may want to modify your business license laws to reduce the charge. I don't know how you want that, but.
You can give them a one-day business license or something like that.
Well, the problem is that they're going to be repeat, twice a month. They're probably going to have a standard business license, I would assume.
Well, I mean, you don't want to charge them a business license for a whole year if they're going to be out there once the first, third Saturday. I mean, you give them a one-day business license, that's what you do down in Columbia.
Yeah, and again, you just need to have your zoning and business licenses and street closures in order so that everybody understands what you're doing and how you're doing it.
But I thought, I was understanding that our zoning ordinance says you can't.
It allows them to get a permit that they put in for up to 45 days a year. And she only wants to use it 12 times. So I mean, it falls within the ordinance to allow a permit for 12 days from 9 to 12. And we could issue the permit at the beginning when we know exactly what the dates are. We have to set up the whole 6-month period.
Does that business license require a,
We need a business license from her or a permit fee like $25 from each one of the vendors. We have to decide how we can do that.
So Bob, with a permit, or a temporary permit, you would not have to change the zoning ordinance to operate under a temporary permit.
Correct.
So what you would do is you would issue the temporary permits all at one time, twice a year.
Right. But we still need the resolution, like you said, I didn't think about that for the road closure, so we'd be able to make it public.
You need a continuing resolution for road closures, that's right.
And you would have to coordinate that with the police chief and with the fire department.
Yes.
Because they would have to know that that road was closed, in case of a fire, that the fire truck would not use that for anything.
I think this needs to be on the agenda. We gotta do all, we need to do it right. And Barry, you need to remind us about it. It needs to be on.
Well, we can ask, I'll ask now that you place on the agenda.
You were last time. Figure it out. No, I'm kidding.
if you have enough information to work on, and then we just have to finalize or approve something, you can do it. Yes.
I mean,
And we can do the continuing resolution at the same time too.
correct.
For the street.
I'd be more than happy to come back to the next meeting as well, or to another meeting. More than happy, and bring you some information if you wanted some more definite information, an outline of what we're planning to do, some vendors that are interested in coming, what our vendor application looks like, what our information sheet looks like, the website, all that good stuff. I don't mind at all
What happens if
coming
somebody
back to do
chokes on
that.
a peach? Is it a sue party, a Harvey, or?
I'm sorry?
If somebody chokes on a peach, are you gonna sue Tom Irmo, or?
Well, my understanding from my insurance company, and I hope that never happens, is that since Brown Box Veggie has bought the permit, that our insurance would be liable.
Okay, so your insurance company would be, make us an additional insurance?
I can make you a loss
She
paying.
gets a business license without permit. Am I mixing the two up, or are they two separate? The business license would be for him operating business permit would be. And I think, just like anybody else, once you get a business, the town, city is no longer responsible for whether you do your business. It'd be you and your insurance on that. As long as those people get a 45-day permit.
That's why I said it had to be an either or, because we're not gonna know what the charge is for a business license, so we run this as probably
Well,
exciting.
we don't ever know what to charge anybody for a business license. They just have to kind of tell us what they think they're going to make, and then we figure it out from there. I think they should just do it based on what they think they're going to do. So you make it up, but, you know, they just say, here's what we think we're going to make.
And is it
That
not,
wouldn't be based on all your sales. That would be just based on what you think you're going to make as far as charging $25 a vendor
I understand what you're
for
saying.
12 months, or something to that effect.
Do we allow subletting a business license?
I don't.
Well,
I don't think so.
you can, and again, I'm not 100% sure, but I looked at doing antique mall across the street. And it's my understanding, if I got the business license, I could rent out to other people in it. I could either pay for my whole shebang, or I could make each individual dealer get one for their rent, or I could just get one for the whole place. I pay a whole fee for the whole year and charge me for it. So I think that she just have to pay the $25. Pay only the $25 that each person gets, and if she sells 20, then she'll figure 20 times 25 or whatever it is, and kind of figure it out. And you should have a business license, everybody else just get permit out there.
I would suggest that you take some of the questions that we've had and prepare something to get to Bob
I will.
prior to the meeting so that he can get it to us in our package. One of the things that I'm going to definitely want to see is I want to see a letter from DA blessing. And also liability insurance that leaves the town, the council, and the employees of the town held harmless. If somebody chokes on his peach or gets food poisoning because of some food that was prepared and it was too warm, because we're talking about the summer months, June, July, August.
And when is the next meeting?
April 6th.
April the 2nd.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Good, thank you.
And by the way, I do get stuff from y'all. My wife doesn't get as much as I wish she would sometime, but they have some good stuff. Next item is presentation by citizens. This is the time for anyone who wants to come address anything to Irmo Town Council for something that is on the agenda. If you have something, please come and just give us the name, or your name, and address for the record, and then which item you want to address. Is there anyone who would like to address Irmo Town Council on something on the agenda?
I'm Alton Hutto with Lead Corporation, and I would like to address item A on the new business.
Okay.
I know y'all probably want to shoot me. We made some mistakes, and we're here tonight to see if we could remedy some of them, and ask y'all if y'all saw in your heart to reduce our bid bond that we turned in.
And that is on our agenda, so we will be.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
I'm Vivian Brewer. I live down the street. I came to express my opposition to having the caravan that's operated by the pump. Does it not go here?
Well, it's not on the agenda, but at the next presentation by citizens, item X, and yeah, you can come speak in, because that's not on the agenda.
Okay.
The three things that are on the agenda tonight is the Land Corporation and Central Midlands, and then also DOT on sidewalks. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move to the next. No unfinished business. Next item, new business, is item A, approval to retain $5,000 of lead corporation bid bond. And before we start, I'll just say, I'll put that on there for that dollar amount. We can second it, I'll make a motion, we can second it, we can change it, we can give it all back, we can keep it all, whatever, but I want to start somewhere, and that's where I started with, somewhere. So is there a motion for approval to retain $5,000 of lead corporation bid bond? And since I put it on there, I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And what I'll start with is, I just took the two dates from the date that we awarded the contract to LAD and the date that we awarded the contract to Clearwater, and I think it was 2 days ago, you said. And I just kind of used that $500 a day. And for the public and everybody else out there, when the bid was awarded, it was awarded to LAD Corporation, and our bid documents required a bid bond to be paid, which they did, and they have requested, I spoke to Mr. Brown and asked that we not keep it all, but to retain some and send some back. We can do that, we cannot do that, we can do anything in between zero and whatever the total amount was, 47,
45,350.
You got a check for that?
Already divided.
Check's been deposited. Check clear. And so we can, make a decision from here, since he did make a phone call to Mr. Brown and asked for it to be, asked for it to go lightly on, so to speak, and I felt like we needed to do something so Bob could get the guy an answer one way or the other. And so is there any discussion on what anybody else would like to do, how they'd like to do it, or
I
what?
just don't remember what the figure was we came up with before. Didn't we talk about this before?
Well, we kind of came up with different stuff.
Bunch of numbers, we didn't have one.
Yeah, and it's really good. I think, there was discussion on what a bid bond is, what a performance bond is, and all that, but still, it breaks down to what the due diligence. In my opinion, I don't know that we could start it any sooner, even if they had moved forward, because we didn't have permits and everything else. And so there's really been, I would say, a loss, and if they get, the other people get the part done by whatever date, then there's really no loss. But then a bid bond is what a bid bond is. At the same time, I don't know that it's up to us to, I don't say greedy or stingy or whatever. So I think we could work with the individual.
When we discussed it last, the numbers that I think you were referring to was some numbers that I threw out.
Right.
I kind of used the same thing that Artie did, but I used a different start and stop point. I used the start point the night they stood right here and told us there'd be no problem. And we went away from here thinking that the next day, effort would be, the wheels would be rolling, whether they're knocking down trees or digging up to lay sewer line or water line, whatever, that effort was going to be made, that was the start date that they would be able to go. And, that's how I came up with it. We were somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000, which was a little less than half of the bid bond. That's how that number came
Okay,
about.
that's what I knew we discussed it, I just couldn't remember.
Well, I think we used the 5 and the 8,000.
Yeah, 8,000 and then
between the two others.
and then 5, and that's was 13,000. So it came up somewhere around $20,000. I can't remember, but that was less than half of what the bid bond was. Now, when talking with the town attorney, he was looking at even a larger amount of our loss and thinking that the 45,350 was a deal, but I again, was looking at trying to be somewhat flexible on that, and
know if it's a matter they couldn't do it, I think it was a matter of, and I'm not gonna speak on behalf of them and on behalf of Bob either, it's just that when the bid documents were open, there was one line that had your total everything. Here's what the whole park shebang is gonna be. The next line was, here's what the picnic shelters are gonna be. And then if you wanted to take the picnic shelters out, you would subtract the picnic shelters from district, and that would be that. And I think when, in the course of figuring that out, Bob figured out this wasn't added into that, they needed to add that in there. And when we decided not to do that, and again, I think, hindsight is so much clearer, but if we could have just turned around
We
at that
ordered
time.
it that night, we ordered it as what?
Right, but at the time when Bob opened up the thing, if he had said, oh, this guy made a mistake, throw it out, and move on to Loveless or whatever his next guy was, there was a mistake on their behalf, I think somewhat on ours, and we just didn't.
How was the mistake on ours?
Well, we should just threw that bit out, because it would fill out correct. We should have just threw it out because it would fill out correct, and then we wouldn't be whatever. But at the same time, and Kathy, well, if you buy a house and you pay a deposit on that house of $5,000, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, and then you turn around and buy the house, the home seller is entitled to that deposit, no question.
That's what we got.
But if it turns out that.
Yeah, if the house is built.
Yeah,
But
if
if the
it
house
turns
is
out
built,
it's-
then, yeah, then you get some.
Both passed away or he lost his job or something like that, and then they can't buy the house, then you probably end up giving it back to them. You might keep part of it, taking the house off the market. You might be a great guy, you might just say, I'm keeping it all. So we're just kind of at that point there, which do we want to do? I think the precedence that we set is, if other people want to bid with us down the road and we're not real amenable, they might not want to, So I think we need to be fair and just. Well, I just put 5,000 on it to get started, because I knew we were all kind of all over the board. So I wanted to get started somewhere. We can amend that to whatever, but we do need to give Bob some kind of direction.
Fortunately, we're moving right ahead with the part of the contractor. He says he's gonna break ground tomorrow. So, really, it's not been any harm done, so I would suggest to make it zero. I'd like to make a motion.
Well, we got a 5,000, so now you got a zero, you can amend it and make a zero.
Amend the motion to charge them nothing.
All right, so there's an amendment for zero. And is there a second?
Wait, I need to make sure the attorney, can I do that?
Yeah, you can do it, you can amend it.
You can certainly amend the motion. I mean, I was given instructions to go collect the money. I went and did what I was told to do. Truly, when they make a bid, it is an offer. When you accept a bid, it is an acceptance. Therein lies a contract. Under the law, you technically would have been entitled to the difference between what they did and the other contractor did. A lot of money. So we basically negotiated with them back down to the amount of the bid bond. You did suffer some delay and some frustration and some aggravation. And basically, you did expend some work on behalf of Mr. Brown and Mr. Moore in going and collecting the funds. On the other hand, it's not my call. And the town of Irmo has always attempted to be fair with citizens with whom it deals. Call on what to do with this is entirely up to you. But can you do it? Yes.
Yeah. And there's a motion for zero, and I'll second it, just for the sake of discussion. So, is there any discussion on that?
I'd like to.
Or do you want to amend it?
No, if we could do something out of order. I'd like to, Mr. Hutto spoke to us just a moment ago and asked us for some leniency there. I'd like to ask him what he would think would be fair.
That's good.
I'm gonna leave that under your judgment, because I got all the faith in the world that you, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, legally, you got all right to keep $45,350. But, I know we did make a mistake, and we honestly thought we had a mistake made, but we were communicating, we thought we had it corrected, we were communicating with the wrong person on the deal. And we left here that night, we thought we had a contract for $999,000, which included picture show. And then, when I get the contract, it was $905, and we were already down probably $50,000 before we ever pushed the first tree over. And the simple math was, we would come up here, and we'd be looking for every way we could find a change order. And I don't do business that way.
So we have an amendment, or, for zero, first and second. We'll go ahead and vote on that, see if it goes, and if not, we're back to the 5,000, and we can start again.
Zero's not the answer. I don't believe zero's the answer. But, my 2 cents is that, we have sustained some loss. 45,000 might be a little steep, but I agree with Harvey that, we had a start date. When I asked any questions, can you do the job? Can you get it done by a certain date? They sat there, they stand right there and said, yes, we can do it, and yes, we can get it done. And at that time, that's when my clock started ticking. And, here it is the 18th or 19th of March, and ain't no trees falling down out there yet.
That's not their fault, that's due to the county holding up the.
Well, the bottom line is that there ain't no trees falling down there yet.
Yeah, so they would have been on the started, they've been sitting here.
That's 20 days, 30 days. Zero's not the answer. 45,000 might be a little steep, so, I can see somewhere in the middle, but not zero.
Well, we got zero on there, and we'll vote on that, and then if that passes, it passes, if it don't, we're back to the 5,000, and we can make another amendment, or whatever, we can vote on the 5,000. All in favor of the amendment of zero, do so with show of hands. So that was 2 to 0, 2 to 3, so that failed. Now we're back to the 5,000. We can discuss it, or we can vote on that, or somebody can make an amendment to that.
Let's vote on that.
I'd like to make a motion that we, give them, charge them 20,000, send them back $25,000?
25.
Whatever, 25, yeah.
So there's amendment to charge
20,000, send them back 25,000 to return.
And is there a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion?
The 20,000, is that just trying to be less than half of it, or?
Yeah, I mean, like Jake said, Jake spent some money to go get it. Bob spent some money to go get it. We spent some money. We've suffered something. Okay.
And we had about an $8,000 difference that we had to bump up.
Yeah, I just still feel like that's a little bit high, even at 13 that we originally, what's going to start to me, that was warfare. But anyway, we ready to vote? Any more discussion?
What is the number there?
We'd be keeping 20,000 and sending 25,000, 25,350 back to them, and keep it 20. And we can vote on that, and if it fails, then we can go back to the drawing board somewhere between 5 and 20. Yes. So all in favor of retaining 20,000 and returning the difference, do so with show of hands. Four. Okay. So that fails 1, 2, 4. So we're back to the 5. Is there?
I'm gonna make a motion.
Okay.
That I take the numbers I came up with earlier, and I rounded numbers up, just to make round numbers. The difference that we wound up
so is there a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor of voting? And this will be to retain $13,000 and return the difference of $32,350 back to the land corporation.
Yes.
Do so with short
So get it straight, y'all want to give back the check to the county they already paid you $32,000.
keep 13.
The check is already clear.
All in favor? All right, so you understand now how much to keep and how much to return. Next item on the agenda is approval.
I would like to thank y'all for that. You didn't have to do that, but, we've done a lot of work in a lot. And we'll continue to be working with you in anything we can to help. And, we'll appreciate it.
Next item is item B, approval to renew the contract with Central Midlands Council of Government for our planning consultant in the amount of $12,500. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, we need to keep it short.
Does a good job.
He does.
Puts up with us, that's what people.
Thank you very much. And all in favor of approval to review that contract, do so with show of hands. And next item on the agenda is the approval of contract with South Carolina DOT in the amount of $15,493.40 for Palmetto Wood Parkway sidewalk. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this $13,493.40, is that our portion?
That's our 20%.
Our 20%, so the cost of the sidewalk is 80% greater than that.
Correct.
So we're getting a grant for 80% of the sidewalk, we pay 20, and our part, that 20 is $13,493.40.
Correct.
You just
And then we'll be able to walk from Town Hall to Veterans Park, right?
Correct.
It goes down in front of the Alamo, Alamo, into the park, or beside the park, or through the park, and always down into the neighborhood where that could.
And that would be a nice walk. If you did that and then the park, maybe I
Pass
should.
out.
We might lose.
That's what you'd be sore. So any discussion? All in favor of approve? And the only other thing is now, if I'm understanding, it could be a year or two before we get to it.
They approved the Carlisle Mosley Street, we sent them a check 2.5 years ago, and they haven't started it yet. Same with Eastview College and Brickman. But all in the works, they were all approved 3 years ago by their same.
And two of them, I just understand your thing, they're going to be doing this summer. I think.
Yeah, they're supposed to be getting them out this summer.
The rest of them are just
Be next summer.
some happening.
Correct.
Okay. All right, all in favor of approval of that, do so with show of hands. And next item is presentation by citizens, where anyone can speak to us about anything that's on the agenda or not. And I will recognize Vivian Brewer, if you want to speak this time. If you were here first, wake up.
I want to talk about the caravan that Palmetto Lifeline has asked to operate on Lake Murray Boulevard. Apparently, I misunderstood what it means to amend a zoning ordinance. And if I think this is what I understand now, that it's just a matter of adding this caravan to a list, and it'd be a temporary thing. Is that correct?
Is it farmer's market?
Is it
Well,
like,
they had discussed it last night, and they decided they were going to table it, discuss it at a later date, and give more details about what they would and would not allow regarding the caravan events.
okay, well,
So right now, it's still not allowed.
That's correct.
The farmer's market, that was kind of
my concern, first of all, was that if you let them come in and amend the ordinance, that would open Irmo up maybe to things we don't want, things you've been keeping out with this ordinance. You know, I've only lived in Irmo 8 years, so I don't know what's going on in the past. Another objection I have to it, I mean, I don't think you should amend the zoning ordinance just for this one group. Caravan is already operating at the corner of Westcott and St. Andrews Road. That is 1/10 of a mile from the Irmo city limit line on St. Andrews. It doesn't seem that we would need another one on Lake Murray Boulevard. They also have another one on Broad River Road, 4/10 of a mile from the Friars Gate Animal Clinic. I think we should be thinking about our veterinarians in Irmo. This van is in competition with the veterinarians. It started out to be giving rabies shots and other inoculations, and that has been, they now have other services according to their website, like ear cleaning and toenail cleaning, clipping, and things that veterinarians do. And so they are in competition with the Irmo veterinarians. I talked to some of my neighbors and got some signatures. Not a lot of my neighbors, just as I saw them out. And one of them mentioned something to me that I had not thought of. That's a very high traffic area where they want to set up. I'm not sure how getting in there to get a animal shot or a rabies vaccination, how that would work in that stretch of Lake Murray Boulevard. So that's another objection I have. Ma'am?
Well, if they get a permit, if they change the ordinance and do it anywhere, I think the one place they were going to do before is the place on Broad River. I think you might be talking about. What's up there? That corner market crossing the other grills, corner pantry, that little community.
Right,
Biscuit house.
Coon Road.
Yeah, that was one place that they, because they have a contract with corner pantry. But they could somewhere else, and anybody else could come in.
So where's Lake Murray Boulevard?
Is your main objection that it's unfair to our local veterinarians who pay business license? Because I did wonder about that, you know.
I'm equally concerned that you would amend your ordinance for that one particular group. But those are my two primary objections. And I have the names here of most of the people I talked with. I can leave it here with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all read the newspaper, the state newspaper, somebody had an article where the state house is looking at changing the law to not allow to do certain things and to do others. But yeah, there are some vet shops that are not real happy with it, and I think they're prepared to fight it. Not just in our town, but at the state house and everywhere else and wherever. I've got a couple of letters and stuff. I haven't shared them yet because I'm trying to get answers from the people that I can share in the letters. As soon as they'll email me, let me know, and send all that stuff out. Anyone else who would like to address Irmo County Council about anything that's on the agenda or not?
Tiffany Boyce with the Greater Irmo Chamber. We, 2 weeks ago, can't even remember, on March 9th had our first annual Red, White, and Blues to benefit the Chamber and the Newtown Park. We will be making a check presentation to you all next council meeting, and I'll get with you, Bob, so you'll know the exact. But I just wanted to say a big thank you to Mr. Brown and council, town staff, but especially to this guy right here, Whitmore, and his Parks Department. They were awesome. What did I say? I'm sorry, Whitcomb. Where did I get that from? I'm sorry.
I gotta tell you where you got it from. It's okay.
Probably, yeah. I'm sorry, Whit. But huge help and nothing but positive feedback. And there were so many people that came that had never been in our park before. And it was great to be able to share that wonderful addition to our community, as I call it, the best kept secret in Irmo. And then also the excitement of the new park too. So I just wanted to say thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Berry and your band for playing, and Mayor, I know you came, and so just thank you all for your support, and I'm excited that we'll be presenting y'all a check next meeting on April 2nd, so thank y'all very much.
Anyone else would like to address Irmo County Council?
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Buck, and I'm Executive Director for Keep the Midlands Beautiful. I wanted to let you know today about the upcoming April 13th town cleanup that we have on schedule. And I have communicated with the town administrator about, so he has that, and hopefully we'll be getting back with me some information about areas that we are going to be targeting around the town. I've left a few emails for him to do that. Woodley's has also let us know that residents of Irmo and members of the chamber, also Irmo Arbor Day Committee, will be able to shop at Woodley's and receive 10% off purchases the 12th, 13th, and 14th. All you have to do is go in and say, "Keep the Midlands Beautiful," that's your password, and you can receive 10% off anything that you purchase to go towards beautification of the town of Irmo. Also wanted to let you know that I have written grants for recycle bins and $5,000 to go towards the Veterans Park. Also, I had a discussion with the town administrator about this, so he was aware of it. The $5,000 is to go towards swings, greenings, and picnic tables in the Veterans Park, since we don't have any swings in the Irmo Parks area. Mr. Moore and I had a discussion about that, so that was something that Keep the Midlands Beautiful can apply for grants. Different organizations, Lowe's allows the affiliates to write grants. It has nothing to do with the town, but we can apply for those. And the recycle bin grants through Coca-Cola will help be able to put, hopefully, with your allowance, recycle bins in the new town of Irmo Park, whatever you're going to name it, in the future, and also we'll be able to put a couple in the Veterans Day Park, the Veterans Park as well, so that we can keep recycling in the forefront of the Irmo residents' minds. Any questions for me?
What date is
April 13th is the cleanup.
9 o'clock here or something?
9 till noon. I've sent all the information to Mr. Brown to link on your website, and also I know that Tiffany's sending it out in an e-blast as well. We have it on our calendar at keepthemidlandsbeautiful.org.
Can you write a grant to pay for the new car thing?
We can certainly do grants that will help with community greening for different things in the future once it's established.
Okay.
But not for the whole thing, no.
This is an excellent effort.
Thank you.
Just very briefly, on April the 4th, I don't know if y'all know it or not, the town of Irmo is getting an award for beautification at, I believe it's Mid-Carolina. They don't do this every year, but Mid-Carolina is recognizing the town of Irmo for its beautification efforts, and they've invited all of us there. So if anyone cares to come and watch the town get an award, we'll be there. What time, Marty? 7?
I think the actual presentation is 7. They start, it's their annual convention, because they, your co-op members, whatever, they have that it starts at 5:30 for that, and you have to register. If you're Mid-Carolina, you'll win a car, truck, whatever. But at 7, they have the more of the business meeting starting. I think that's when you do that too. But And Eddie, Richardson, yeah. Usually send some computer so you can look at what's on the computer at night. And they have band there, so you understand that. On that, Lexington High School. Lexington High School. And that's on, wait. Number one. A lot of times I turn on 378 and go down the road and realize I'm on the wrong road. And I did want to let Tiffany know, at the Lexington Town hosted the Municipal Association meeting last week, and after everything was over, and I was thanking the town for hosting it, I looked right at Randy Halfacre and I said, and I want to thank the town of Irmo for hosting. Didn't you realize I said it? Until somebody came up to me later and thought, oh, well, I don't want to say it. It happened. So, we're at the end of the meeting for adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment? Is there executive session needed? Anything?